Spalding here, and today we're going to talk about how the narcissist ruins your physical health. Now, we all know they can destroy your emotional health, your mental health, right? Depression, anxiety, panic, all of that. But today we're also going to talk about how they ruin your health physically. And I know many of you know what I'm talking about here. But in my practice, I deal with a lot of chronic illness and a lot of chronic disease. And almost always I can trace it back to abuse or life with some sort of narcissist, or CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which often happens from childhood, or BPTSD, which is betrayal trauma, post-traumatic stress, right? So it's really fascinating and it's sad, and it's this is a real silent epidemic. Nobody's talking about this, but it's so important because so many people are just limping through life because they're dealing with a narcissist, whether it's a partner, whether it's a sibling, a parent, a boss, a coworker, a child sometimes, sadly. So, I really wanted to take the time, especially now that we're at the end of the year. Let's talk about ways you can reclaim your health in 2023, okay? So first off, though, let's just talk about some of these things. The number one thing I see all the time with just about anyone who's dealing with a narcissist is fatigue. They're exhausting. And one of the reasons it's exhausting is because narcissists, other people with personality disorders, so borderline, sociopaths, psychopaths, they're all vampires. And so they really exist by stealing your energy. So if you're dealing with somebody like this, you're going to be tired a lot of the time. And what happens oftentimes is when we're in a heightened stress state, our cortisol levels rise, right? Our stress hormone. And so a lot of times that's what causes inflammation. And then as a practitioner, I'll see it in the blood work. And usually there's certain tests that I run, or I can see like, okay, this person's dealing with some trauma. This isn't just a bad diet, or this isn't just everyday stress. This looks like trauma. And a lot of times what that will be is elevated C-reactive protein, elevated A1C, elevated cortisol, but a lot of times I see decreased cortisol. And what that really is that's advanced adrenal fatigue. So the beginning stages of adrenal fatigue are where your cortisol raises or it kind of goes wonky. And if you're in that situation for a long period of time, eventually what happens is your cortisol reserves get depleted and your body can't keep up. It doesn't have enough raw material to keep making it. And so then you'll see the cortisol decreasing, and that's when the real fatigue sets in. So I always take a look at that as well. A lot of times with my clients who are struggling with narcissists or real difficult people is I will see insomnia. So sometimes it's initial insomnia where you're having a hard time falling asleep, and sometimes it's what we call middle insomnia, which is you're having a hard time staying asleep. So you're waking up at 1 or 2 in the morning, sometimes 3 or 4 in the morning. And sometimes people say, okay, maybe that means that person needs a liver detox, or maybe their blood sugar is dropping, or they're drinking too much alcohol in the evening. And all of those things, can be true. But I see it a lot with people who are in unhappy relationships or dealing with difficult people or narcissists that, they'll have some sort of insomnia. And a lot of times it's because that subconscious mind can't relax. Because a lot of times when we're dealing with difficult people, we end up stuck in our sympathetic nervous system. So we call it being sympathetic dominant. And that means that we're always a little more keyed up, and it's just really hard to relax. And so, of course, for these people, I suggest a lot of relaxation, whether it's some meditation, whether it's hot baths, whether it's sitting in a salt room, going on a nature walk, getting rid of some screens, taking up reading or knitting, or something that's just restorative. Sometimes a glass of wine and a funny movie can also be restorative, but for people who are sympathetic dominant, sometimes we just really need to calm it down. listen to some relaxation music or sleep music, just those kinds of things. Going to bed early, really trying to minimize the distractions, which, when you're living with a narcissist is really difficult. But getting that sleep is so important, because if we're not getting good sleep, and by the way, men need about 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and women often need 8 to 10, and no one ever talks about this. And there's a whole host of reasons why this is true, but the majority of it is because women rely a little bit more on their adrenals to make hormones, whereas men rely a little bit more on their testes to make hormones. So women don't have those things, contrary to what some people might tell you. And so we have to rely more on our adrenals. So if we're not getting the sleep, we're not replenishing our adrenals, we're exhausted. I know many of you know what I'm talking about here. So when we have cortisol issues, when we have chronic stress, when we have some inflammation and lack of sleep, then the next thing that comes along is insulin resistance. And this one's tough because, nobody wants to develop diabetes, but over time, when we're not getting sleep, when we're not probably eating properly, we're not exercising enough, we have chronic stress, we'll see that blood sugar start to rise and rise and rise. And I look at not only fasting glucose, but I look at your A1C levels, because a lot of times that gives us a snapshot of about 90 days worth of your average blood sugar-ish. So when we see that starting to creep up, a lot of times it's not just bad diet. A lot of times it can be stress. So that's one thing that I really suggest we get under control immediately, because when we see high A1C or high liver enzymes, we're getting some liver damage, and it's your liver just as much as it is your pancreas that helps regulate your blood sugar. Most people don't know that. They think it's just the pancreas. Nope, it's the liver by and large. And so we want to keep that liver super healthy. Now, according to, I think some Chinese medicine, maybe some Ayurveda, the liver holds anger. So for people who are holding in a lot of anger, living with somebody who's making them chronically angry and frustrated, like a narcissist, a lot of times there can be that emotional or spiritual connection to where if we're holding in a lot of anger, that can, sort of inflame the liver a bit. And I do believe that there is that connection there. Even though I'm very science-based, I do believe that, there is room to say, yeah, we need to look at this from all angles. And if I'm holding a lot of anger and a lot of gall, then that can affect my gallbladder, that can affect my bile duct and my liver. And most people don't know that the liver and the gallbladder are actually attached, they're fused. And most people think they're just sort of next to each other. No, they work very closely together. They're best friends. And if you're going to have gallbladder issues, you're going to have liver issues, and vice versa, typically. So that leads me to my next stage here. So if we're having any liver and gallbladder issues, or, even if we're just under a lot of stress because of this person in our lives, or multiple people, then a lot of times we'll go on to develop digestive issues. And this can look like GERD or acid reflux, right? This can look like IBS with diarrhea or constipation. You just bloating, gassy, belchy. There's lots of reasons these types of things can happen, and a poor diet definitely does not help. Medications can contribute to IBS. But what I find by and large is there's often a huge stress component with digestive issues. So, do we want to be careful and not eat things that are offending us? Of course, but at the end of the day, we want to take a look and say, okay, how much of this is stress related and what can I do about it? And I'm going to tell you what you can do about it here in a second. So I mentioned earlier anxiety and panic and being in your sympathetic nervous system. That's also going to play a role in the gut health too. So we have to keep that in mind. Also, melatonin. If we're not getting enough sleep, we're not going to have as much melatonin. And there's actually melatonin that's produced in your gut. It's a huge antioxidant. So we really want to take a look at this from all angles, and we want to remember that everything is connected. So headaches, I haven't talked about this yet, but headaches are huge. When people are stressing us out, they can be a pain in the neck, literally, And you can get neck aches and headaches in the back of your head. You can get headaches in the front of your head. But a lot of times people will get this neck pain and not realize it's a migraine at the back of their head. And that can be very much related to stress. It can be related to other things too. I see that a lot when people eat foods that they're sensitive to or have some sort of allergy to. But I see it a lot when they're dealing with difficult people in their lives. Being a pain in the ass, right? Lower back pain. That is really common when we're dealing with stressful people. So any kind of aches and pains, really. When you're living in an oppressed environment, your body's gonna feel it. It's gonna feel heavier than it is. It's gonna feel like a brick. Life's gonna feel hard. It's gonna be a little bit harder to breathe even. I mean, it's just different. You're not gonna feel vibrant. You're not gonna feel energetic. You're not gonna feel like you're supposed to feel. And even though it makes perfect sense, it's not okay. So we're going to work to change that. Other thing I wanted to mention, autoimmune diseases. I see this a lot. I actually see it a lot with people who are trauma survivors. So I talk a lot about CPTSD, which is complex PTSD, and that's really ongoing trauma that a person experienced in throughout childhood. And a lot of times, we grow up, we repress things, push them down, and then they'll come up as a physical symptom. And I see this a lot with autoimmune diseases. So Hashimoto's, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. I mean, even obscure ones like rheumatoid arthritis, MS, scleroderma, these kinds of things I see a lot, and a lot of times they're related to trauma. And oftentimes what happens with a person is, they did grow up with a lot of complex trauma as a child, and then they marry somebody who continues to traumatize them, and then oftentimes that's when I see the autoimmune disease pop up. It's like, okay, well, somebody else set the stage, and now this person is raising the curtain saying lights, camera, action, and then here comes this disease seemingly out of the blue, and it's usually just not ever out of the blue. So we see that. I see a lot of lowered immune function, and this is documented. But when we have chronic stress, it affects every organ in our body. It affects our immunity, where we're producing, in our bones, in our spleen, in our thymus, those T cells, those B cells, those immune cells, the natural killer cells. These things get suppressed with chronic stress, right? And then think about it like this too. When you're under chronic stress, what do you tend to do? We tend to eat foods that aren't great for us. Sometimes we smoke. Sometimes we use recreational drugs. Sometimes we use alcohol. Sometimes we're using prescription drugs. And even though it's a prescription, there's still going to be side effects, most likely affecting your liver, affecting other things. And so we have to really pay attention to that. But all of those things will tend to depress the immune system. So when I come across someone who's living with a difficult person, living with a narcissist, working with a narcissist, I see a lot of colds and flus and just weird, obscure illnesses, things of that nature. That's like, why am I sick all the time? Why am I not feeling good? And it's because that person's immunity is depressed. Also, I want to mention this, and nobody talks about this, but when you're under stress, your body uses more raw materials and more nutrients just to keep yourself going. So you're going to need a lot more minerals than the average person. You're going to need more vitamins than the average person. And most of us just aren't getting those things. So, we just see this quite a bit. Chronic stress, I do want to mention this, by the way, it can even lead to cancer over time. And when I was in a relationship with my former spouse and I left the relationship because, of all of the trauma and all of the ongoing just drama and the difficult nature of him being a narcissist, etc., I left that relationship with skin cancer. And I was surprised, but I wasn't. I was the healthiest person that I know, on the outside, right? Take all the vitamins, do all the things. I'm a nutritionist on top of everything else. So, I do all the things. So getting skin cancer, and I got it on my stomach. And I even went to the doctor because I looked at it and I said, oh, that doesn't look good. And it was just right before I ended the relationship. And I put some stuff on it, didn't quite know what it was. I went to the dermatologist and she said, oh, this is nothing. Don't worry about it. We'll biopsy it, but it's nothing. But I already knew. I just had a weird feeling. And then they called me and they said, yeah, this is basal cell. You got to come in. And I did some research, and what I found was actually a fair amount of research that showed people who get basal cell carcinoma, skin cancer, are typically trauma survivors. Wow. And it even specifically talked about the immune cells that are typically depressed in these types of people. And, you know, by the way, I'll put a link to that study in the comments because it's really mind-blowing. I really didn't know that that research was out there. Anyway, you know, long story short, here I am, took care of that. But at the end of the day, I knew it was from all the stress of that relationship. I just absolutely knew it. And so I really had to make a promise to myself of like, you know what? I'm not going to let somebody else steal my health. It's just not an option. It's not okay. It's my health. This is the only home I have, which is my body. And I want to take good care of it, right? So I made a lot of changes, obviously, and had to get that really difficult person out of my life. And I know, again, a lot of you know what I'm talking about here. Even if you're still in the relationship with a narcissist, you know that this is taking its toll, and it's not okay. So what do we do about this? What do we do? You know, a lot of times we can start slow. Now, you know, sometimes for me, I'm that person who's like, okay, take out the person, dump everything out, like we're starting over. And if you're there, bravo, good for you. Yes, let's go for it. But sometimes we can just take some small steps. And the first thing that I would recommend is doing everything you can under the sun to get a good night's sleep. Everything you can. If you need a sleep mask, if you need blackout shades, if you need a noise machine, if you need, you know, some CBD, whatever it is, some melatonin, take it, do what it takes to get that sleep, okay? And I'm more of the natural holistic person. You know, I always save medications and things for it as a very last resort. But, you know, there's lots of things that you can take out there. Kava is great. Valerian's great. There's some teas that you can drink that can help you just relax. Getting the sleep. Doing your best to clean up your diet, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can get a lot of the processed foods out, if you can, you know, if you're sensitive to gluten and dairy, you know, getting that stuff out. Whenever I work with a client nutritionally, I always take gluten and dairy out just because they're so inflammatory. And most of us are already inflamed. We don't need all the extra inflammation, right? Getting enough protein, a lot of great lean proteins, healthy fats, vegetables, whether you broil them, grill them, whatever you do, put them in the air fryer, getting those veggies in, super important. Another thing that's really, really important is to supplement, right? Now, a lot of times people are like, I don't want to take 15 vitamins a day, and I don't want to either, I get that. But some basics, a really good multivitamin with minerals, you're gonna need those minerals. In addition to a multivitamin and a mineral, everyone needs additional magnesium, just about everyone. Up to 80% of the population is magnesium deficient. And magnesium is one of those minerals that's very calming. It helps regulate blood sugar. It helps with digestion. It helps with relaxing muscles. There's just so many benefits to magnesium that if you're not taking it, most likely you should be. So magnesium, a fish oil, you know, very important to help with the inflammation. Lots of things fish oil is good for. And also I take one that has CoQ10 because especially when you're over 40, we stop producing the CoQ10. It's a powerful antioxidant. We need it. We need it for our cardiovascular health. And I found one that has a CoQ10 in it, a fish oil, and I will put that link below. It's fantastic. A vitamin D. Vitamin D, again, about 80% of the population is vitamin D deficient. We've all heard it, but you know, taking it consistently, especially in the winter, really, really important. Helps with your immune system, helps actually also balance blood sugar. So many important functions, can help with mood, all kinds of things there. So, you know, just some basics. And what I'm going to do, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a narcissistic abuse recovery health protocol, okay? And I'm going to link that below. And I use a company for my supplements called Thorne Research. They are so fantastic. They're such high quality, and I've been using them for almost 20 years. Everyone who is affiliated with me who orders from Thorne gets 15% off of everything. And so, and I give that to people for life. So if you need a vitamin 5 years down the road, you know, log on, you'll get 15% off. But anyway, they have a great multivitamin. I'm going to list everything down below. And one of the things I love the most about Thorne is they have a product called Mediclear Plus. It is a detox protein shake that it's vegan protein, but it's a detox. It's got liver support. It's got almost a full vitamin and mineral profile. It's got all kinds of amino acids to help with the detox process. A lot of us genetically, by the way, don't detox very well. You know, there's 3 phases to detox, and most people don't know much about that. But in order to get through all the 3 phases, we need certain raw materials, we need certain nutrients. And so the Mediclear Plus is fantastic. So January sometimes is a great time to detox. And I always like to do, if I'm doing an emotional detox, I like to do a physical detox along with it, because when we purge out difficult people in our lives or difficult, you know, yucky emotions that we're getting rid of, a lot of times we'll release toxins along with that. So we want to take something to help make that process easier, smoother, and safer, okay? So bottom line, what we want to do is support ourselves. So self-care, this is another one that's huge, and I've talked about it in several other videos, one that I'll link up above here. Self-care, so doing the things, reading the books, Uncaged right here, trauma recovery using facet integration techniques. So if you have spent any amount of time with a narcissist, you are a trauma survivor. Don't forget that. So taking responsibility and taking your healing in your hands. But, one I almost forgot. When you're living with a narcissist or a difficult person, it is very easy to become overweight because we're stressed. We're sad, and a lot of times we will medicate with food. We will comfort ourselves with food, and then it becomes a vicious cycle, because then we gain a few pounds, or sometimes we gain more than a few, and then we don't feel good about ourselves, and then the narcissist sometimes can make us feel worse, and then it's this vicious cycle. And so if you're carrying extra pounds and you're like, I'm done with this, you know, 2023 is coming, I want to change this and take care of myself, Mediclear Plus is the way to start. And if you message me, if you write in the comments and message me like, yeah, I want to lose some weight, I will send you meal plans for free. I will send you some fantastic meal plans, some fantastic recipes, things that I give my clients. That's my Christmas gift to everyone. I will send that out to you guys for free, all right? So bottom line, let's make this the year that you're taking really good care of you, and let's not let the narcissist annihilate our health, okay? So if this was helpful, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. I want everyone out there who has suffered any kind of narcissistic abuse to be able to take their health back in 2023, all right? Anyway, guys, hug yourself from me, and we'll see you next time.